OK, well, let's a quick reminder of our breaking news. A truck has rammed into a crowd during Bastille Day celebrations in the French city of Nice. At least 10 people are believed to have been killed and many more are injured, we understand. Eyewitnesses do say that people inside the truck opened fire before hitting the crowd. These are the latest pictures we've received. So obviously a lot of people there, certainly scared and running away from the scene of what's happened. Just a reminder, a truck has rammed into a crowd during Bastille celebrations in the French city of Nice. We were looking at pictures there of close to the scene and people obviously very concerned and running. We can now talk, I understand, to our correspondent in France, Anna Baranova, who's on the line now. Anna, what more can you tell us about what's happened this evening?
All right, so it's closer to midnight. It's late at night here in France at the moment, and people were out to watch fireworks in France's resort city of Nice, where everything happened at the Promenade des Anglais. People have, eyewitnesses report that they've heard gunshots, but it's difficult to say so far because, as I've already mentioned, fireworks were going off as well. We know so far that a truck indeed seemed to have rammed into a crowd of these people that were out to watch the fireworks and celebrate Bastille Day. And so far, reports are coming in that people are now attending to the injured, and so are the authorities as well.
So there's no indication at the moment yet, Anya, if the attackers are still at large, or there's no sort of clearer picture of exactly what happened, basically, when they attacked?
Absolutely, that's indeed what's happening, and there's obviously concern of what kind of reports are now coming in through the media, given that France is under this state of alert after what had happened back in November when Paris has seen horrific terror attacks that shook the country. So information is seeping in very careful doses, if I can put it this way. So far, all we know is that a car jammed into a crowd of peaceful onlookers who were out celebrating Bastille Day, and there are people injured.
OK, thanks, Anya. We'll come back to you a little later for more. Well, I think we can cross live now to a witness, an eyewitness who is there. I think you can hear me. Just quickly, hello, it's RT here in Moscow. Can you describe what you saw?
Yeah, we were having dinner on the beach for Bastille Day, and right as the fireworks ended, all of a sudden we heard pop, 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 and people jumping off the Promenade d'Anglais down to the beach where we were, everybody ran for shelter, and then so we're sheltered with about 100 other people in a bunch of toilets and areas underneath the Promenade d'Anglais, and we were told by the police to wait under here, but the shooting took place right above us. Don't know how many people are injured or worse, but we're told to stay here, and that's for about 50 minutes or so.
So that's where you are now?
That's correct.
And were you aware of anything untoward, or was the first time you noticed something was wrong was when you heard these gunshots?
That's correct. Yeah, everything seemed fine. The fireworks went off, and they were terrific. And we were just actually in the process of paying our dinner bill, and all of a sudden heard the pop, pop, pop. My wife, despite the fact she's deaf, actually recognized it as gunfire and grabbed me, and we started running for the shelter.
And what did the police tell you exactly to do then after that?
We were told to stay in the shelter, and about 100 or so people are crowded down here. And then people started drifting toward the entrance about 10 minutes ago, and the police told everybody to get back.
And at this stage, I mean, you're just staying put, I assume, and you can't do anything else.
That's correct.
Well, and how can you describe the scene before this happened? Because from what we're hearing, it was a truck that ran into a crowd of people and then shots were fired. But can you describe exactly how, in your opinion, how many people were there and what sort of scene was it before this happened?
So the Promenade d'Anglais was closed to vehicle traffic since, I think, 2 or 3 this afternoon. And so it's very surprising that a vehicle even got on. We didn't see it because we were below on the street level. We were below street level on the beach, and didn't hear anything until we heard the sound of the gunfire.
Have you, I mean, presumably I know you're with sort of many other people at the moment also taking cover, are you? What have they
That's
said?
correct. I'm sorry?
What have they said? What have other people said to you regarding this?
The only thing people are doing is repeating what the police are saying in French.
I see, so certainly a very worrying moment. We know that France
Absolutely.
is sort of under a state of emergency given the attacks too, but obviously France has just held, hasn't it, the European Championships too, and they went smoothly. I mean, this must come as a sort of quite an extreme shock to people.
Yes, in fact, we were on our way to the fan zone on Sunday to watch the championship, but it was just too crowded, and we decided to go back and watch in a bar. And we were worried about terrorism, but our concern was, I should say, we were not as concerned about it happening in Nice as, say, someplace in Paris. So this happening in Nice is rather a surprise.
And just remind us, Eric, well, just tell the viewers, we were just listening there to the voice of Eric Drattel. He's an eyewitness at the scene this evening in Nice, and he was told to take shelter. We're talking to him now. But from your point of view, can you just give us some background to your position too, Eric? Did you come to France as a tourist? Is that basically you're on tour in France and this has now happened?
Yeah, my wife and I live in London. We're American citizens, but we live in London. And we've been in France for the last 2 weeks. We were in Paris for a few days and then Aix-en-Provence. And we've been in Nice since Saturday, and it's been lovely. I mean, we were told that tourism is down because of the fear of terrorism. And in fact, the crowds really have been down. We've not had a problem getting a table in any restaurant, or it's just not been terribly crowded. And so this comes rather a shock. The only time there was really any crowd of any significance was at the fan zone for the football championship.
Sure. And the people you're with now at the moment, Eric, can you tell us a bit about that and just describe the scene where you are?
It's really a cross-section of everybody, from fairly young people, 20s to people in their 60s and plus, and initially everybody was pretty panicked.
Just reported.
I would say about a dozen people or so crowded into a single toilet stall. But now, interestingly, the restaurant where we were, they've come around and been serving water to people, and I think everybody is shocked, but it feels like the threat is past.
OK. Eric, we'll just leave you on the line for 2 minutes, if you don't mind. We've just received some live pictures from the scene, so we'll just go to those now and we'll come back to you in a moment.
Okay.
We're just looking, as we said there, at live pictures from Nice, where we understand where this incident took place. Just to remind you, it appears that a truck was driven into a crowd of people who were there to celebrate Bastille Day on the beach there. They were waiting for fireworks to start, but then it appears that a truck has rammed into a crowd of people, and witnesses do say that they were heard gunshots fired too. In fact, the chap we were just speaking to there an American on holiday in France at the moment has been caught up in this, along with dozens of other people, and now they are taking shelter under the promenade, which you can see here now, in toilets which are under there, and the police have told them to stay put and not move. So that's the situation at the moment. You can hear sirens, emergency services arriving at the scene also, but it's still unclear who these attackers were and whether they're still at large, and how serious this has been. But we understand for the moment that dozens of people have been injured and at least 10 people have been killed. Those were the initial reports from the scene. This is footage that's been broadcast on Periscope. You might have noticed the insignia there in the top left-hand corner. But this is what the scene is like at the moment in Nice, where thousands of people had turned out for Bastille celebrations. People obviously confused, and earlier many people were obviously scared and running away from the scene too. But that is the latest at the moment. A lot of confusion in Nice. Police have told certainly a large number of people to take cover, and we were just speaking to an eyewitness there who's actually taking cover underneath the promenade, which is what we can see now, in toilets there, along with dozens of other people of all ages, he says. He himself was on holiday in France. He'd been to the Euros as well and celebrations there, and he was saying that generally people were feeling safe and secure with the security that was on show during the championship. But this obviously a very concerning scene now from France, because in Nice it does appear that there's been an attack, and that involved people driving a truck into a crowd of people who were there to celebrate a Bastille Day just before fireworks went off. And then also there are reports that gunfire took place, and the gentleman we were talking to just a few moments ago said his wife heard several gunshots. She recognised them as gunshots. That's what he said. OK, well, we can return now to the witness. Eric, can you still hear me? It's Andrew in the studio in Moscow. Eric, we were just looking at pictures there at the scene, and what I can see now is the promenade, I think, and you're currently underneath the promenade, but there are emergency services and members of the public still walking around too. But have you learned any more over the last few minutes?
No. We've just been told to stay in shelter, which seems to and not go above ground. See all those lights down there. And the restaurant people are kind enough to be passing around water to people. It's quite warm underneath. It was a cool night. And just to clarify one thing, the attack took place after the fireworks ended, right as they ended.
And is there a sense of panic there at the moment, Eric? It's obviously a very concerning situation, but how are people reacting?
We're not really sure. Well, the people I can see, about 100 or so people who are below the promenade, everybody's pretty calm. People were pretty shaken at first. And the traffic seems understandably people crying and people pretty shocked. But now I think everybody's kind of calm and just waiting to be told we can get out. No idea how long it's going to be before we can get out, though.